Hi everyone. I'm very glad to be here with you today, and I'm very thankful for the WISE conference to give me this opportunity to talk to you. I'll be telling you a story about a girl named Rowan. I don't think you have heard this story. Rowan lived in northern Yemen. Last September, Rowan got married. Last September, Rowan died of internal bleeding, only days after her wedding night. Rowan's husband was 40 years older than her. Rowan was only 8. This story made headlines around the world, and when everyone knew about it, Yemen was shocked and embarrassed by the story. When I heard the story, I was embarrassed for her, and I was really shocked and angry. But do you know what was most shocking? The most shocking thing was that some officials tried to deny the story. They denied that Rowan had died. But fortunately, Huriya Mashhour, the human rights minister in Yemen, said enough is enough. It's time to end this practice. It's time to speak up. And do you know what? This was not the worst. Rowan case is not the worst, and it's not the exception. Actually, Yemen is not among the 25 countries that are classified as the worst countries for child marriage. It's not. Do you know that today, October 30th, 2013, almost 40,000 girls below 18 are getting married around the world? Do you know that some of them are the age of your youngest daughters, nieces, and cousins? Do you know that some of them are only 6 years old? And this happens despite the fact that these countries have signed and ratified conventions that prohibit child marriage every day around the world. The CEDAW Convention, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and the CRC, which is the Convention on the Right of the Child, are being broken. 1 out of 3 girls below 18 are getting married in South Asia as we speak. I'm talking about women that are living in South Asia, and women that are living in sub-Saharan Africa, and and younger girls that are living in Latin America. So, what can we do to end this? All these countries have policies and laws in place that prohibit child marriage, but clearly they are not enforced. UN agencies and NGOs and human rights activists attribute this lack of action to 2 things: lack of political will and lack of financial investments that are needed to end child marriage. So what can we do? And what do we do to end child marriage? Now, when considering child marriage, what is the common denominator linking Yemen to India, to Bangladesh, to the Caribbean, to Africa? It is poverty. Poverty is the cause behind child marriage. And it's poverty which nourishes child marriage and perpetuates this practice. Some parents actually believe that by marrying their daughters young, they ensure their future. But some of them believe that these girls are a financial burden, an economic burden on them, and a commodity that they can exchange for money. And some as well believe that marrying these young girls at this young age will build families, and to those we have to say only consenting adults can build stable and healthy families, not children. Okay, so what do we do? And what can we do to end child marriage? What is the impact of child marriage? Child marriage ends childhood abruptly, suddenly, when young girls that age are asked to play the role of adult women, when they are asked to act like adult women. The truth is, they end up being victimized and abused on the hands of their husbands and on their in-laws. Child marriage has negative impacts on girls' well-being, health, and education. The evidence shows that complications from pregnancy and from childbirth is the main cause of death for girls under 18 in developing countries. Moreover, millions of girls are dropping out of school every year because of child marriage and because of a teenage pregnancy. And you know what? They end up with little or no education and then don't have the chance to better themselves and their families. They don't have the chance. So what can we do to end child marriage? What can we do, all of us, me, you, and everyone in this room, to end child marriage? Now, if child marriage has the root cause of child marriage lies in poverty, then the solution is education. Education is key to women empowerment, and it is essential to end child marriage. The evidence again shows that the more exposure to formal education a girl has, the more likely she is to delay marriage. And this is what we need to ensure for these girls, the right to have an education and to continue their education. What else? We need to ensure that all these young brides get their education. This is not easy. In fact, in most countries, once a girl is married, she is automatically denied access to schools. This practice victimizes these young girls, and it denies them the chance to have an education and to help themselves. We need to call for reintegration of these girls back into schools. So what is our role? What can we do to end child marriage? Of course, the main responsibility for ending child marriage rests on governments, and we have to tell them that. And NGOs and civil society have a role as well. But my concern today is what you can do as educators, as entrepreneurs, and as institutions participating in this important conference about innovation in education. What can you do to help end child marriage? And it is a matter of willingness, and it's a matter of engagement. And there are so many things we can do, and I'll just give examples. Call on policymakers in your countries and around the world and ask them to set minimum age for marriage. Raise awareness about this harmful practice and its harmful effects on girls' well-being, health, and education. Call for reintegration of these schools back into schools. Education is their right, and we need to ensure that they have an education. Please demand to have family education in your schools, in your country. Family education should include information about health and reproductive rights, and about responsible behavior, and about building relationships. And please get engaged in all these campaigns to end child marriage around the world. Add your voice to this movement. Last year, UNFPA launched a global campaign to end child marriage called Too Young to Wed. And there are so many examples and campaigns by NGOs around the world and easily accessible on the internet. Visit their websites. Add your voice. Your voice is important. Together we can add a voice to end child marriage. And now, let me show you how we can do this. And let me get you back to Yemen, where we started talking about a girl named Ruwan who died at 8 years old. And let me show you how different it can be. And let me introduce you to Nujud. Nujud was also a child bride. But she made history when one day she ran away from her husband and sought divorce with the help of human rights defenders in her country. With people like Nujud and those who helped her, and with publicizing these stories, we help end child marriage. Nujud is now back with her family and she is continuing her education. Nujud is now the face of the international campaign to end child marriage. And let me get you back also to Kenya and show you another example. Many years ago, educators and teachers like you saw the potential of one young girl and they helped her and saved her from child marriage. That girl became a parliamentarian in her country's parliament in Kenya. This is one example of what you can do to end child marriage. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you. And I'm ready to answer questions, but I'm also interested to hear your thoughts about this important harmful practice and how we can together help end child marriage.